Welcome, friends and fellow car mechanics, to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 and episode 9. This is a dub over, unfortunately, as I failed to have the mic recording in the time when I was recording this. What I was explaining there is the cost to get rid of that bus and all that trash was not what I had expected. I thought it was 10 grand, or it was only 2,500. So we purchased the upgrade for the next lifter. I had also explained that I had finally gotten the TK aftermarket upgrade mod to work within the game. So I am moving the Roadrunner. I meant to move it onto the second lifter, but as you can see, I didn't. Once I got it in there, I went outside and told you that I had chose this car even though we had recently done one. And I moved that over to behind the second garage door. So here I was looking to see what orders we had and what they needed. We had recently done a bone shaker. And the Eclipse was just an exhaust, so I didn't see any potential reason of taking that. Same with the S3 Quattro. After looking at all the other orders, I had decided that seeing none of them had any bonus money or credits or experience, we would take the story order car, which is basically your Chevrolet Camaro from the early 2000s. There, I'm just telling you that bumper is going to need a replacement. Here we go in to do our typical inspection on the car. At this point, I'm realizing that the TK aftermarket mod took effect with cars that were already on the lot. So I popped the hood, or in this case on the Porsche, the trunk. And I brought the attention to the battery, point out that the tray bracket and the bracket rods were part of the mod, not realizing at the time the bracket or the battery tray was there as well. It actually kind of amazed me that it affected cars that were already on the lot. I thought it would only affect the ones coming in afterward. So then we went in to check to see what the car needed. And it was a simple task just to refill the fluids and change out the one exhaust piece. While filling the coolant, I noticed the upper control arm in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen and how it was black. So I pointed out in the original video that the control arms in the game are generally gray. So that was just another sign that the TK aftermarket mod was working. Then I noticed the drive shaft and once again pointed out the same thing, that it is typically gray. And now here I am going back to filling the fluids. With the power steering, the brake fluid, and the coolant filled, all I had left fluid-wise was washer fluid. Now, I went and I put the engine cover back on and closed the hood of the Porsche and went to buy the exhaust part I needed. After changing the exhaust part, I lowered the car and went back to the hood, and I reassured in the original video that I had not forgotten about the final tests. And that's what we are doing here. At this stage in the Let's Play, it's all about doing everything we can to get the experience points up so that we can level up. And with that, we were done with the 911. So we moved it outside. Swapped it with the Camaro. Pointed out that we would make $643 and we sent it on its way. Looking at the orders, I saw we had base game car, 2 Nissan GTRs, and we already have 1 on the lot. But I also saw the Pagani, which is a car we hadn't done yet in the game. And even though the Nissan gave us 25% more credits, I decided to have Pagani because it was a car that hadn't been seen yet in our Let's Play. So we come back into the garage and we come to the Roadrunner, and once again we do our inspection, and I can already see that the water pump's going to need to be replaced. That is the orange piece you could see immediately upon going into inspection mode, because that was part of the list of parts that needed to be changed. And pretty much at this point, all we're looking for is to try and get as many of the parts discovered as we can so that we can make the fix on this Roadrunner as quick as possible. I think here also I was pointing out that it is a little more detailed with the TK Aftermarket mod when it comes to the rear differential in the car, as there are now more parts that need to be taken apart in order to get a differential out of the car. Hopefully in some upcoming episode that'll be something that we have to go into and inspect so that you can see the depth of the TK Aftermarket mod goes into when it comes to the rear differential. At this point, I was happy to see that we wouldn't have to take the pistons out of the car to get to the piston rings. But I also knew that there was a potential that we would have to dig deeper into the car, especially after seeing that there were 4 parts not discovered. So at this point, I'm essentially just getting a better camera angle so that I can start taking the parts off that need to be taken off. And then I realized that I had made a mistake in not draining coolant from the car, which happens. And I was also wondering what the 2 orange circles were that were flashing before it dawned on me that it was the buttons on the lift. Anytime you unlock something new within the game, it'll highlight the new stuff in orange. So here, I had only so far discovered 1 of the 4 parts. So I was searching to see if I could find the other 3. My thoughts were immediately, let's check the valve train in the car, which is what we are doing. We get a closer camera angle to look at push rods. And as you can see, push rod 1 and 5, or 1 and 4, were discolored compared to the others. So now I knew I had my potential 3 parts. So I went to the other side and did the same thing, because I only had 1 part left. Here I am really looking at the push rods and not seeing a discolored one in the lot. So I'm thinking, I must have missed one on the other side. Because the push rods on this side all looked good. Now I'm looking at all the rubber bushings to see if it was maybe one of those that needed to be changed. But they all looked good to me. So I refocus on the driver's side head of the motor, looking at the push rods again. And I'm just not seeing the last part. There I accidentally marked the carburetor, but I realized that and knew I didn't need it. So at this point I was thinking to myself, okay, let's get the car reassembled and I believe that my original thought was, well, we'll get it reassembled, we'll take it to the test track where we can get the front suspension tested, and if it is a bushing that I can't see, it'll tell me. Here I'm still looking at bushings. And this is where I decide to take it to the test track. Once again, if you've never seen driving in this game, please forgive me for my horrific driving in it, as this game is not really coded for driving. And at this point, I thought I had found the culprit with the pressure plate. And now I'm getting ready to send it back to the owner, only to realize that there's still a part that hasn't been found. Seeing that, I automatically knew I had to put it back on the lift because I couldn't send it out not being fixed. What I was doing there is I was thinking, when I had taken the transmission out of the car to get to the clutch pressure plate, the flywheel had seemed a little discolored to me. So I was like, okay, let's get it up in the air. Let's check out that flywheel and see if it's the flywheel that needs to be changed. For those of you who may not be very car oriented, the flywheel is what the gear on the starter connects to start the motor in the car. So I pull the flywheel off, I see it's at 86%. I know that's not the culprit. So immediately my mind goes to, well, let's drain the oil. And let's see what's underneath that oil pan. Because the crankshaft bearing caps and the rod caps don't get tested. So my first thought is it's got to be a rod cap or crank bearing cap. And as I'm looking at it, I see that it's the crankshaft bearing cap. Though the crankshaft didn't look to be in all that good a condition either. But at this point I knew after changing out the bearing cap, I knew the car was good to go. So I was able to go ahead and put everything back together. Knowing it's good, I now move it out and know that we can send it on its way. And that we make $2,292. And here we look at them. We have a DLC in the Evoque, the Jaguar, and a mod car in the Cobalt SS. And then we had another base game car pop up. None of them gave any bonuses, so I chose to go with the Cobalt. And that was pretty much the end of the episode. If you like what you've seen, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Any likes and comments help my small channel, especially the subscriptions. And in the next episode, we'll be working on this full Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. With that, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, whenever you may be watching this. Thank you.